which we are all in a large team. And also the global team, so we have global tech organization, global data science that is more focused on embedding AI in digital products. We've had the team since 2022, and we've had multiple learnings since the inception. It's actually the newest team, I would say, in a broader analytics team. And we've had a few learnings that we wanted to share with you. So first of all, data quality is key in prioritization. So in any new project that we take up, we need to be very sure what is the status of the data quality. And quality, of course, I also mean accessibility, reliability, etc. Because otherwise, the chance of success is pretty low. We now have dedicated team members per business area. So as I mentioned, like operations, consumer journey, etc. Because we want to ensure that when we are developing capabilities, we already have relevant business knowledge and there's a trust relationship between us and the business stakeholders in order to facilitate adoption of what we build. We now also leverage central teams much more than initially in order to scale successful experiments and also for templatized approaches so we can be faster and more efficient. Also, pre-mortems increase the likelihood of project success, so it's basically coming together with a cross-functional team at the start of a project and thinking about what could go wrong and when we will know that. So that we can mitigate these aspects proactively and not get surprised later on. We also see failure as part of experimentation and pushing boundaries. So things that are maybe not possible today might be possible tomorrow. So for us, it's also really important to keep up to date with technological advancements and understand also what other companies are working on, so we can learn from that. Wanted to also briefly talk about what AI means to us, because nowadays, at least when I hear AI, most people mean Gen AI and now agentic AI. We see things a little bit more nuanced. We have use cases across classical machine learning, causal AI, Gen AI, and agentic AI. So classical machine learning helps us understand, given our macro and micro environment, what are realistic targets for us as a business, but also understand our consumers better. What do they care about, for example, after they place an order with us, and how do all the operational aspects that we are in control of affect their likelihood to return or to churn, so meaning not to come back to order with us. And this will be the deep dive focus. So moving on a bit, causal AI is also super important for us because it allows us to understand incrementality of different business decisions. So for example, if we change the free shipping threshold, what does that mean in terms of our P&L, which is very important, and we have high maturity on both these types of AI. Gen AI helps us understand what do our consumers think of us, if we think about our membership experience, our app, etc. So we use LLMs on open-ended feedback. And last, where we are now in experimentation stage, is agentic AI that helps us to be more efficient and automate some more manual or error-prone processes. And also, automate some decisions such as inventory decisions to minimize out of stock or overstock. Also very important for our bottom line. The biggest business impact so far we have seen still with classical machine learning and causal AI. So maybe in 1 year's time we'll come back and tell you that Gen AI has really changed the game for us, or agentic AI. We'll see. We have high expectations. Now I'll hand over to Sid to talk about the Consumer Experience Index, which is one of our flagship decision science products that has visibility to our board. So we are quite proud of that.
Hello everyone, and thanks a lot Irina for walking us through our amazing culture and our ways of working. But let me now walk you through how that translates into understanding our consumers better and also creating tangible impact with business using machine learning and AI. But let's take a step back and try to understand where are we trying to get, what's our North Star. As a strategic business priority, we want to increase our market share. But how do you do that? You either start with acquiring consumers and making yourself as attractive as possible. That helps you accelerate your growth as a business. Or you retain your existing consumers, which then acts as an engine to sustain that growth. Now imagine you are head of operations in our company, and your goal is to make consumers come back by delivering the best consumer experience that's possible. Right? So you're really looking at the right side of the lever to help retain as many consumers as possible by delivering the best experience. And that's where we come in, decision science and analytics, to collaborate with the operations team and help them get to the next level, which we'll see how in a bit. But what even is consumer experience for the operations team, and what actions do they take to influence it? For that, we need to understand the consumer expectations in the first place. So let's say if I am a loyal consumer, what would be my expectations from the brand? Well, I would want my order on time, first of all, if I place an order. If I don't like the order and I decide to return it, I would want my refunds fast, not delayed. In all this process, I shouldn't have, first of all, any problems with Adidas, so I don't need to contact them at all after I place the order. And let's say even if I get stuck with some problems and I end up contacting them, I definitely don't need to contact them the second time. Right? Now, as an operations leader, in the company, you would be looking at some KPIs that are closely tied to each of this experience. So you're looking at reliability, refunding time, case to order, and first contact resolution. Now, since all these KPIs are handled by your operations team, which is a big team, right? Previously, the ways of working was such that teams were responsible for their own KPIs and pretty much operated in isolation and helped to optimize each of them in the best way possible. However, for the leader or the operations leader, the information that's getting to them from the large team is pretty much isolated, right? Because all those signals are based on isolated signals that you see for each of those KPI. There is limited visibility and collaboration among these teams because they pretty much work in silos. As a result, they have low collective accountability on the overall consumer experience as a whole. And there was absolutely no connection to retention for any of these KPIs. We did not understand what makes them come back and what makes them go away. And that's exactly why last year we built what we call as consumer experience index. That is a single scoring system to unite all the teams under one holistic goal. Prioritize what matters the most to the consumer and also provide leadership with visibility on what's moving the needle for them. So let's try to understand how exactly all the mechanics behind work and how do we calculate experience through AI. Right? So let's go back to the consumer expectations that we started with. I want my order on time, I want my money back ASAP, I don't need to contact them and definitely not the second time. Now, because we deal with millions of orders in a year, we trained an AI model to learn retention patterns from the data, so from the experience that our consumers were having, to identify the consumers that were at risk of not coming back in the next 12 months. Now, because you use AI, you can identify who will not come back, but additionally, we also leveraged explainable AI as an additional layer to help us understand why they're not coming back. And what explainable AI gives us is exactly three things. It first helps us understand the what's an ideal experience and what's a friction experience, and how do you define them for each KPIs in the first place. We'll see in a bit how. Second, how do you prioritize all your KPIs and tie them to retention? So in this case, refund lead time and reliability, the models and the explainable AI told us they are the most important to talk to, and with consumer service cases and first contact resolution coming in close third and fourth. And third, last but not the least, they also help you understand the sweet spots for each of those KPIs. So what's really making your consumers happy and what's not. In this example, the x-axis is how long does it take for us to process these refunds, and what explainable AI tells us is if you refund people within 4 days, they are probably the happiest. If you cross that window, with each passing day, you are entering into a danger zone. Now, as a business, the reality is we would have, we would be doing a good job, but through this model, we would be able to identify our scope of improvement and where we want to be in the future. Not just that, we also, based on the performance and how we're performing, we can translate that into a score for that KPI. And if you do that enough number of times for all the KPIs and the countries, you could arrive at a single score that we call Consumer Experience Index for whole of Europe. Now for you as a leader, this number is super important because this tells you where we are today. But not just that, but also where we want to be next year. Right? And this then acts as the single compass for the whole team to work towards a single goal and help us achieve a higher CXI next year by optimizing each of those KPIs.
Thanks, Sid. So we're almost out of time, but I wanted to leave you with 3 main takeaways from our presentation. So first of all, what we noticed on our journey is that in order to succeed with AI innovation, we need a culture that supports experimentation and sometimes failure, as long as it's for the right reasons and we learn from that and we do better next time, because that is part of innovation. Secondly, as you've seen with the use case, in a world where everyone is talking about AI agents nowadays, also in the keynotes, it's everywhere, there is still a lot of value from classical machine learning for the right use cases. And last, as we have seen with our use cases, AI can also bring people together, so enabling renewed focus on human aspects, such as cross-functional collaboration, creativity, and strategic problem solving. That's it from us. Thank you, and we open for questions.